Okay. So it's November the 16th. We're doing art share today. We're just waiting for folks to come on board. Hey, June. Hi, Bernice.
Where did everybody go?
Well, you guys are just getting here.
Hi.
Hi,
Hey,
How are you?
great, great, great.
So we're waiting. We're 2 minutes into or past 2 o'clock.
Bob and John are usually here early.
Well, Bob isn't usually here on Tuesdays.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
He and Eloise are doing the portrait class with Ernest Farn.
Mm-hmm.
So from what I understand, which kind of confuses me, is I guess that Bob is taking the afternoon class, Eloise is doing the morning class.
Yes, yes.
They used to be in the same class. And Bob,
Yes.
I guess it's the more advanced class in some ways,
Yeah.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so yeah.
She said the beginner class was so full that Bob decided, but no, I'm just going to jump in. Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's John.
Yeah, there's John. You know, and Armando. Armando.
Hi.
Hey,
Hey,
Armando.
Armando.
How you doing?
I know more why, I guess.
You are.
Yeah. You got all of you got the birds ready.
Well, you know, I don't have the bird ready, but I went out to Publix yesterday and did a little bit of shopping in the evening. And Publix had, I guess, turkeys on sale because I got a turkey for $8.95. $8.95. I couldn't believe it. And it's not like a little turkey. It's a big turkey. And it's the whole thing. You know, it's not like it's just a breast or something. You know, I mean, it's the whole turkey for $8.95. I couldn't believe it. It was like, wow. Because just 3 weeks ago, a turkey about that size ran about probably close to $30.
Okay, so even with the pandemic, you know, because that's the way they used to do it. The store would have the sale the week before Thanksgiving, but I didn't think they would do that this year, but apparently they are. Huh?
Evidently they are, yeah. Well, they probably got a lot of frozen turkeys. That would be my guess. You know, that would be my guess. You know,
I'm tempted to cook.
And Veronica.
Hey, Veronica, how you doing, dear?
Yeah.
Hello, how's everyone? I'm good, thank you.
We are talking about food, Veronica.
Well, no, we're not talking about food. We're talking about shopping for food.
Pricing.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
I wanted to cook deep fried chitlin.
Deep fried chitlins?
Deep fried what?
Chitlins.
Oh.
You know, I didn't know that chitlins came not deep fried.
Fried.
Yeah.
Well, you
I mean,
rice
I thought that's kind of what made them
fried.
chitlins in the first place.
No. They chitlins are usually boiled, I think.
Oh, they're boiled? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never made any, but I grew up with them. I
And
never
then
made
you
it.
fry it and let it get fried crispy. I think it must be good.
Well, I've had them fried also.
Yeah. Well, I've eaten chitlins like down on Auburn Avenue. There was a couple of restaurants down there, not far from the King Center. And every time I've ever had them, they've been crispy. I've never had them boiled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're fried crispy gut.
Well, yeah, I know what they are, but yeah, I'm just saying I've never eaten them kind of soft and mushy. They've always been crispy.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Not quite as deep fried as pork rinds, but you know, not that far off either.
Now that I love pork rind. I shouldn't, but I do. I love pork rind.
Yeah, you know, really, it wasn't all that long ago. I guess it's been about 30 years. Yeah, I used to have a thing for like me and a bunch of buddies would get together after we would paint and go down, and they had like pork rinds and dark beer, and we sit around the table and just you know, drink and, you know, eat pork rinds and stuff. Stuff that you knew that it was absolutely bad for you.
Oh, the glories of being young. Oh, the glories of being young. The things you do.
Right, Bernice? That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I could probably get away with it back when I was in my 30s. I can't do that now.
No.
No.
Anyway, yeah.
I mean, you can have a little, but then you're going to get upset because it was only a little, you know, so why bother?
Yeah. Yeah, boy, that could take us down a whole nother road.
Well, now we like avocado toast and broccoli, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, we're eating yuppie food, huh? Avocado toast.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was healthy food, not yuppie.
Well, well,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean, but at the same time, it's also healthy.
yeah,
I like avocado.
it kind of gets billed as sort of a kind of a yuppie stereotype.
Mhm.
You know, in fact, they were saying, you know, when they started talking about the supply chain shortages and stuff, you know, how the you know, like the, you know, young millennial, you know,
Mhm.
yuppies were going to survive, you know, because they couldn't get their avocado and toast.
Yeah, all those yuppies are probably 60 and 70 years old now, aren't they?
No, yuppies are probably in their 40s and 50s now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, that expression yuppie, when I came to Atlanta, they used to call the young professional yuppie.
Yeah. Well, you know, yuppies got replaced by the next generation, and they didn't like the name yuppie, so they were called hipsters.
Oh, okay.
You know, same group. You know, nothing particularly different about them other than, you know, they were just what, 10, 15 years behind the yuppies. So
You know, I always thought of I guess it's probably because of the name. I
Mhm.
thought of yuppies as upwardly mobile, and I thought of the hippies as being flower people.
Yeah, well, you've got that right. They were radically
I
different.
thought they had a different philosophy, you know.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, hippies were all about, you know, just kind of like, you know, getting day to day, getting through life, you know, enjoying life. You know, they didn't want a corporate job, you know, things like that. Yuppies were all about, you know, hey, you know, living the American dream, you know, having a house, you know, having a career, you know. A lot of them weren't necessarily interested in having a family, though they kind of stumbled into doing that anyway. You know.
You can't be together too long without
Without something happening, yeah. You know. So
Yeah, but weren't the hippies, they're really trust fund babies.
the hippies?
Yeah.
Well, maybe some were, but
Oh, okay.
most were not. Yeah. No, most were poor kids from the Midwest who took off for California, you know, because they wanted to listen to, you know, like psychedelic music and smoke pot and hang out at Haight-Ashbury, you know, which was my neighborhood at the time. So
Okay.
yeah, I lived in Haight-Ashbury, you know.
Oh yeah, that was like a, you know, you came down to see what was going on. Just came to look and leave, you know.
Yeah.
You didn't hang around, you just look at me. Oh yeah, I think ridiculous. Okay, I'm going home now.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like most of them who came out there, you know, got there on their last dime or hitchhiked. And, you know, they weren't leaving anytime soon. You know, they finally got to, you know, a kind of an area where there was a lot of like-minded people, you know, and so, you know, they were happy to hang out there, you know, all up and down, you know, the California coast, but mainly in San Francisco. Haight-Ashbury was the big kind of, you know, central universe for hippiedom. You know? So anyway, let's move on, okay? Instead of talking about history and stuff like that.
Before we move on, do you know a good site for drawing? I looked at about 10. I'm not really happy with any of them because let me tell you what I'm talking about first. I'm talking about drawing hair, and I know what you were saying. Just kind of draw the outline and then kind of erase it back.
Well, you find the shape. You think of it as shape.
Okay.
Yeah, rather than see the way most people try to draw hair is, you know, they put in a lot of texture, right? But what they forget about is the overall shape and the value. Okay, because if you look at anybody's hair, right, and there's any light on their face whatsoever, right, then the hair isn't going to be the same value in the front as it is to the side or the back. right? It's going to change value as it moves around their head, just like their skin would. Okay.
Mhm.
And now a lot of illustrators, okay, would kind of rely on, let's say that we were drawing Veronica's hair. Okay. Veronica, can we use you as an example? See,
Yeah.
so an illustrator
Get her to
might,
move up a little bit.
yeah, but you know, an illustrator might find that shape, you know, of her hair, and rather than drawing a lot of little details and stuff in it, would, you know, block it in as a big value, right? You know, and kind of flatten that shape out. And then he might, you know, put in her hairband, and then, you know, he might just go back in and, you know, put in a couple of indications of some lighter values and things to, you know, indicate some of the idea of the texture of her hair, but he wouldn't do it everywhere, you know. And so if you look at people like, you know, Bart Forbes, or, you know, some of the, you know, people like, you know, N.C. Wyeth, or, you know, people out of the golden age of Illustrator, and you look at, you know, how they painted heads and hair and stuff like that, it was very simplified, you know, because it had to be, you know, because it had to be something that would read very quickly, you know, in a book, you know. So, you know, that was kind of how they approached it. And, you know, for the most part, that was a really successful way of doing it. You know, if you find the general shape and the transition of value, right, then you don't really need a lot of texture in there.
Okay.
So, kind of answer your question?
Kind of, yeah. I
Yeah.
was just trying
Now,
to
as
figure
far
out.
as, yeah, now as far as, you could go on YouTube, you could Google, you know, drawing hair. One of the sites I might recommend to you is Proko, Proko.
Oh yeah, I know that name. You recommend that one time.
Well, he charged.
Yeah.
No, you can watch like
Not for
free,
everything.
no, you can watch like free videos on YouTube from Proko. Yeah, they have lots of
Right.
information there.
And
Yeah,
he
now, yeah, if you want to take the whole drawing course, yeah, then yeah, you're gonna, you know, he's gonna charge you a little bit of money. You know, but that's, you know, that's almost a 2-year long drawing course, you know, if you want to do the whole thing. And
You
yeah,
mean just for the hair?
no. On Proko, it's all about learning how to do figures and portraiture, well,
Oh.
mainly, you know, figures.
Okay.
And really kind of improving your drawing skills, because a lot of people who go to that site and who take that course are people who are wanting to end up as either like animators or illustrators.
Okay.
And that's kind of who follows that site. But, you know, you know, it's good for people who, you know, anybody who wants to draw the figure or portraiture, you know, they've got lots of good information on that. Okay. All right. So moving on. All right. So let's look at, let's look at some artwork. Okay. Because you guys sent in a little bit of artwork, and we can start with Mr. Armando.
Yeah.
Armando,
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think,
That's my orchid.
huh?
That's my orchid.
Yes, I know it's your orchid, right? And I've talked about your orchid before to people, but you were never here when I talked to them, I don't think. So I want to talk to you about your orchid, okay?
Mhm.
And then the rest of your drawings too, okay?
The
So,
rest are off.
pardon?
The rest are awful.
Yeah, no, they're not awful. Okay, but, all right, so this is your drawing, and this is in color pencil, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, so now let's look at the actual orchid, because you sent in a photograph of it, okay? Now, when you look at this particular flower, okay, what do you
Mhm.
notice about it? What's the first thing you notice about it?
Well, there are 5 petals, two on top of the others,
Mhm.
and in the middle, that thing. And yeah, it has some shadow in the middle and some on the side, some on the top, yes.
Okay, well, okay, now you're kind of hitting the point that I want to get to. What I want you to do is I want you to look at this flower and I want you to squint your eye down. See, real tight, and look at the flower and try to see where it's light and where it's dark. Come on, Armando, squint your eyes.
Well, like
You
in
don't have
those
to,
two,
you don't have to worry about wrinkles, okay? Just squint your eyes.
Right there.
those 2 petals on the top, I know kind of in the middle is a kind of a shadow, you know. Yeah.
Yeah,
On the side,
so,
the yellow is more bright.
right, yeah. So all of this,
Yes.
see, there's a big
It's a
spot
shadow.
right here in the middle of this petal that's
Yeah.
fairly dark. And if
Yeah.
you squint your eye down, then you get to see exactly how dark it is. So
Mhm.
squint your eye down, Armando.
Mhm.
It's not a request, do it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And see, when you squint your eye down, you'll notice there's a lot of contrast between, you know, the petal up here and then what falls
Yeah.
in the shadow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically the value here is very close, you know, to the value back here, other than the fact that this is actually a little bit darker
Yeah.
than the values back here. See?
Mhm.
And then again, squinting your eye down, okay, the darkest area is really right up under here.
Yes.
Okay? So your shadows are not one value. You've actually got 3 different values, you know, in those shadow areas overall. You got more, but you know, generally you can break it down into 3. So, you know, these 2 petals are like 1 value. These have a different value range because these are very dark, actually. Okay. And then this is actually even darker.
Yep.
Okay. Now, when we look at your drawing, okay, does it really kind of break down that way? And okay, so this one in particular is darker than this, which is good. Okay, so that works. But then the value here, probably not dark enough. Okay.
Should be darker. Okay.
Yeah, probably not dark enough. Okay. And if this were darker, that would make this area up here appear to be even lighter.
Lighter. Okay.
Yeah. Well, because anything that you do to one area is going to affect the other. For some reason. Yeah, remind me there. And so, you know, hang on one second, I'm getting some kind of weird thing over. Yeah, okay. I just want to like know. Okay. Go away. All right. All right, let's get back to the discussion at hand. So generally, you know, you've got the shape, you know, and the fact that you've got the 5 petals, things like that. But what you don't have in your drawing is you don't have the intensity of the color, and you also don't have the values dark enough, right? Like, for example, if this background were quite a bit darker, then it would make all of these look much brighter and lighter. Okay. And so, you know, I mean, what you did is a good idea, you know, adding color to it. But, you know, with colored pencils, a lot of times you have to build it up. And you have to keep going back into it to really push, you know, the color, you know, and really, you know, build up those intensities, you know, and like on the 2 flower petals, let's see, go back to here. Yeah, like on all of these, that yellow, you know, it's light, but it's much more intense than what you got in the drawing, right? Same thing
Yeah.
is true with the red. And the only way that you're going to get it, to the intensity that you see there
Mhm.
is you really got to go back in and keep, layering one color over another. And, you got pretty close in a few areas because you really kind of put a lot of pressure on the pencil and you kept working in that area and really building it up. But you got to do the same thing in here as well. Okay.
Mhm.
And all through this. So you really need to kind of push your color with it. And, if you look in your background area, like in here, you can see where, you were kind of working with the pencil and it looks kind of scratchy, right? And the only reason it does that is you just don't have enough color down there yet, right? And you gotta learn how to control that pencil and build up those strong darks. And the only way you do it is you just have to keep working at it and change direction every once in a while. Okay. As you make a passage, then, shift it slightly, work back over it at a slightly different angle, and then shift it again, and just keep building it up in layers until you really get the intensity of the color. Because we've looked at some color pencil work, that I've shown you from the internet and stuff. And color pencil is one of those things. It's one of those media. It takes a lot of patience, but you can actually get the color quite intense and quite dark. You just have to be patient with it, and you have to work in lots of different layers. Just keep adding to it until you get it where you want to go. Okay.
Mhm.
So
Thanks.
it's not one of those things that's going to be like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to be done with it in 5 minutes. Okay. Not going to happen. Okay. All right. So then this is your little fairy, and okay, you can see, what you intended there. And the thing is, you need to work more, with your drawing. And the things that you really need to focus on is
On the face.
everything doesn't have an outline, okay? Because when you put an outline around everything like that, what it does is it flattens out the drawing. And you can have an edge to something, but that edge has to vary. Like the edge here isn't going to be the same as on that shoulder, or on the top of her hand, or on the dress. And why? Well, one, the light is hitting each of those areas differently. And then the surface that it's hitting, her skin is very different from her dress, which is very different from her hair. Some of those things are very soft. Some of those things are going to have kind of a sharper, crisper line. And so, when you're drawing something, you're looking at it and you're trying to interpret what you see and tell, the people who are going to look at your drawing later, oh, okay, that was skin, right? So I've got to have a value and a line that sort of describes what that skin is like. Is it soft, or is it part of the skin that's stretched over a bone, right? And, the line that you use for skin that's stretched over a bone versus something that's very soft, like the back of the arm or something like that, is going to be very different from each other. They're not going to be the same. Okay. So you got to try to create some variety in your line work that will describe sort of the surfaces and what the light is doing on those surfaces, right? Because that's, when you make a line in a drawing, that's actually what you're doing. So, is you're trying to tell somebody not just where the edge of something begins or ends, but what it's like. Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it an area that's falling into shadow, or is it an area that's falling into light, right? So those are the things you want to look at and think about as you're making those lines. Okay. Which means that sometimes you have to draw less. Okay. Because maybe you don't have time to get all that down, but you concentrate on a certain area and you try to be more accurate with it. Okay. That's what I'm asking you to do. Okay. Same thing with this young lady. Okay. So, you have, sort of the expression and the pose for, the reference that we were using. You have that down, but again, you've used a pen, like a fine line pen, which is fine. You can do that. But again, if you're going to use a pen line, you need more variety. And, some of those pen lines need to be thicker. Some of them need to be very smooth and very kind of fluid. Others can be, maybe a little more textural. And if you could get that kind of variety in your pen line, then the drawing all on its own will work. You wouldn't necessarily need the color. Then the color would just sort of enhance it. Okay. Same thing with your squirrel. Okay. See, again, he has kind of a continuous outline all the way around him, but it doesn't change. It doesn't vary, so it flattens out the drawing, and that's not really what we want to do. So we want to, when you use that line, you want to describe what that surface is doing, or whether it's coming towards you or moving away from you. So, does it make any sense to you? Okay. All right. So anyway, that's my thought about it. Okay. And we talked about, drawing hair and stuff like that. And the reason I gave you a squirrel, for everybody to draw was, he's very soft and he's very fuzzy all over, right? So probably the last thing you want on your squirrel is like this real thick, hard outline, all the way around, the edge of him, because there's not one there. Yeah. It doesn't happen that way. Okay. All right. Miss Bernice, you ready?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
ready.
All right. So Bernice started doing a painting. Okay. And this is kind of your view out, like out your window looking across the
Well,
street.
I'm really standing in my front door.
Okay, in your front door. So this is looking out the front door. So this is what Bernice sees. Okay, so there's a house, there's a little like shed, right? And then there's another house behind the shed. And then there's even another house behind the two houses, right?
Because that's really across the street.
Uh-huh.
The two houses are across the street. The two houses in back are actually across the street.
Right. Okay. But then this house is across the street from these houses.
Right. The red house and the white house on the left are on one side of the street, but the little brown house and the white house that's behind it is on the other side of the street. There's a street back there.
Yeah, but I would say that, okay, I mean, I don't live in your neighborhood, okay, but in looking at this, I'd say
There's
this
four
house here,
houses? Mhm.
yeah, that this house back here, it looks, we'll call it white,
Mhm.
looks further away than this house or this
Oh.
house. These two seem like they're on the same side of the street as each other.
They are. They
Yeah,
are.
like they're next
They
door
are.
to each other. And then this
Mhm.
one is across the street from them. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, the little tool shed, you see, this little red tool shed right here. Well,
Mhm.
that's just sitting in front of this house back here. It's closer to us. In fact, it's closer to us than this house back here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because look where it kind of ends, see? And it's right here, kind of at the fence line.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah. And it seems like it's closer to us than this house. Okay.
Right. Mhm.
All right. So let's look at your drawing then. Okay. And let's
I skipped a whole lot.
Well, it's not that you skipped a whole lot, okay? It's more that you flattened everything out, okay? Because,
Okay.
like, for example, okay, here on your house or your little tool shed, right?
Mhm.
If you look where it ends and you look at where the bottom of the house ends, okay, this looks closer to us, okay, because it's slightly lower than this, okay? So that's good. So this is the closest thing to us. This is the next. This is back behind here. And then you got rid of the little house back over here, totally. Okay, you just like, yeah, nope, not gonna do that one. Okay. And you can, that's fair. You can edit things out of your paintings if you don't think they work. I would encourage you though to probably, think about actually putting it in there, right? Because it will give you more depth in your painting.
Oh, okay.
But more importantly than putting this back here, when you look at this house right here, the kind of the red brick house or orange brick house,
Right. Mhm.
you don't just see one side of it. You see the back side of it, and then you see the actual side of the house too, right here.
Oh, okay.
And
Mhm.
see, the side of the house has a lot more light on it than the back of the house, because the back of the
Okay.
house is more in shadow. Okay.
Mhm.
And so in your painting right now, and I know it's still pretty early on, you kind of began to indicate that right here, where it's a little bit darker, right?
Mhm.
But the fact is that this side of the house really ends kind of up here, kind of close
Oh,
to the
okay.
tree. See, it's much
Mhm.
bigger, right? And then this side would be actually lit up and lighter than this side, the back side. Okay, and the same thing is true with your shed. See, this side of the shed has got more light on it. This side of the shed is in deep shadow.
Oh, and I have it the opposite almost,
You
don't
have it, yeah, just about the opposite. See, the deep shadow is over here. See, the same thing is true with this house, like under that roof line and stuff. And really overall, it's darker than the side of the house.
Yeah. Okay.
And so where you place those values, right? And let's go to the painting. So where you place your values and what those values are kind of important, because that's how you're going to indicate form, right? You're going to indicate form, and you're also going to tell the viewer where the light was coming from, the direction of the light. See? So if everything here on, say, the left side of these three buildings, right, was lit up, and everything, on the front side of it, the side facing us, was more in shadow, then it would, we'd get some idea of where the light was coming from. Okay. So really look at those values. Okay. Now, as far as your composition goes, right? So you've broken your painting down into like three spaces, right? You've got the upper area, which is kind of the sky and the background. You've got the middle ground in here, which is the grass in the middle and the road. And then you've got the foreground, which is, your yard, which we don't see that in the photograph, but, you would, if you were standing in your doorway, you're going to see, the grass in your own yard before you get to the street, and you've indicated that. So you've got really, foreground, middle ground, background. And so, and you haven't divided it right in half, okay? Which is good, okay, because you don't want to do that, right? Now, I would kind of encourage you, okay, like here with this little house, I would bring it down just a little bit further, okay?
Okay.
Just slightly, just a little bit, and that would move it forward of this building right here, okay? And then,
Which look nothing like the building now that I look at it.
mhm. Well, now, is this your attempt at looking at it and then painting it out of your memory?
No, no, no. You know, earlier you had told us just to grab some paint and
Mhm.
just play with it. So
Right.
I took a lot of paint, but I took a palette and put some paint on it and said, okay, I'm just gonna go out front and just start painting what I see.
Okay.
Yeah, So,
Yeah.
so I was actually standing there while I was doing it. You know,
Okay.
remember I was telling you about I need not a table. I need a regular easel.
Mm-hmm.
But I was standing there holding paint in one hand and painting with the other hand.
Yeah.
But I was just saying, I said, okay, some green go here, some gray go there, some green. So
Mhm.
I was just kind of throwing paint down.
Okay. All right.
But I
Yeah.
was standing there the whole time I was doing that, didn't I?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm.
Well, and for as much as you have down, okay, you're getting the idea that there are buildings there. You've got, a fairly level, plane that those houses sit on. And, the only thing is, you kind of ended it right here at the horizon line, and there's still some more stuff back here that you didn't indicate, but, you could choose to do that or not. Now, if it were me, yeah, I'd put something back there and that would give me a little more
Okay.
distance than you've got.
Mhm.
But the main thing is, look at the structure of the buildings and keep in mind, none of those buildings, you're not standing squarely in front of them. They're all at kind of a 3/4 angle, right? So
Okay.
you're seeing at least two sides on all of these, right?
Yeah.
Including, this part is sticking way up in front of this part of the house. See,
Mhm.
so they're not on the same plane, right? This is sitting back and this is moving forward. It's even closer to us than this.
Okay.
So, really look at the shapes, look at the value, look at the angles too, because
Yeah.
they're not moving horizontally, they're at a slight angle, and in fact, the back of this almost is on the same perspective line as the roof line, in this house right here. See,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
they're all going back to the same vanishing point back over here. Because what you're seeing is a 2-point perspective. Remember that?
Okay.
2-point perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, because that's kind of what's going on there. So,
Okay.
which is why you're seeing the two sides of the shed, the two sides of this house. You don't really see the second side of this because this is in the way and it's closer to us. It's sticking out
Right.
further. Okay. So think about that a little bit, as you put those down. But the main thing is, get your values, put your darks where the darks are, put your lights where the lights are. Okay.
Okay.
If you get the right, maybe not even the right color, but the right value, in the right place, then this will all begin to kind of, take shape. Right. And, one thing about painting is they always encourage you put down your darks first. Okay. Start with
Okay.
your darks, move toward your lights. Okay.
Okay.
So that way, if you get this, in here and you get it dark enough, see, it's almost as dark as the tree trunk, right?
You're right. Mhm.
And it's almost as dark as this area under this house right here, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And then you see if you get those in there, then the areas here, the windows, see, they're not quite as dark as that, are they? See, they're a little bit lighter. The big tree here. See, there's nothing in there that's as dark, as that tree trunk or the side of that building or there. See, so again, it's closer to the same value as the windows, right?
Okay.
Even though they're a different color. One is green, one's kind of gray, but they're very similar in value, right? And so, it's like value by value, just kind of go through it, and put in, whatever you see. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Is Jean here? Wanda showed up. Hey, we got Rebecca too. Yay. And June's here. Okay. All right. All right. So let's skip Jean. She's not here. I want to show you this. This was done at the Benson Center. And most of you don't know her. I think Veronica does. And I think Armando knows her as well. And Rebecca, you know her. This is May. May Sung is her name. She painted this at Benson, and she sent this to me the other day. It was actually hanging at Benson this whole pandemic, and she wanted to go by and pick it up. But this is her flower painting of some orchids. She did a really nice job on that.
Really?
No, what is the background? What is that?
It was just kind of a nondescript background. She didn't want to paint everything that was behind it. So it's just, white, well, we call it white oil paint, but it's not really white, it's gray, different values, but.
It looks like snow a little bit.
Yeah,
But
that's
notice,
Mm.
yeah, but notice how, because this is it has a lot of texture and a lot of variety in it. See, and it's not real smooth, right? In contrast to the flowers, what does it do? See, it separates away from the flower, right? It's not all the same texture. And so the flowers kind of pop forward, and this all kind of sits back in the back, doesn't it?
Mhm.
So it's when you're putting one area or one value or something up against another, other than just the value, sometimes the texture or the color, or the temperature, you've got to have some kind of way of making a contrast there. And so, I thought she did a pretty good job on that.
It's beautiful.
Very pretty.
Yeah.
It is.
Mhm.
Okay. This is somebody else. Now, most of you don't know her. This is Phyllis Hanley.
I remember Phyllis. Yeah.
Mhm.
Phyllis.
You've
Yeah.
seen that one somewhere.
Well, yeah, I showed it, I think, Thursday, but
Mhm.
everybody wasn't here on Thursday. So,
Right.
but these are some paintings that she's been doing since the pandemic started. And, she pretty much so is, staying home, working, at her house. But, she's been busy, she's been busy doing a lot of different paintings. These are her granddaughters, and she's got lots of granddaughters. I mean, lots of granddaughters. So I don't know exactly which ones they are. But then she's also been doing some still lives. And so,
Nice.
yeah, these are kind of fun, very nice little things.
Mhm.
Good color and intensity. They're kind of fun to put in the kitchen.
Mhm.
Oh, that's nice.
Mhm.
Is that oil or acrylic?
She paints pretty much so in oil,
Oh, yeah.
but you can get the same kind of color and intensity out of acrylic as you can oil.
Mhm.
So, but, okay.
Nice.
All right. So, all right. Next, we have Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi there.
Okay, so this is your drawing of the little fairy girl that we did. And we haven't talked about these, have we? I didn't.
Not with me, no, sir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I thought not. Yeah, I think I'd shown them, but you weren't here. And so, you've been doing a lot of drawing, and you sent in some things from Barbara Bradley's book where you drew, it looked like a swordsman or a pirate or somebody. Yeah. Yeah. And then you sent in the drawing that you had drawn that from. And So your drawing skills are getting much better, by the way. Okay.
Thank you, thank you.
So you are, I mean, your work is paying off and they're improving. Okay. Now, one thing I wanted to point out about this, and it's kind of a lot of the same things that I said to Armando, is, you need to be more conscientious and more aware of how you use line, right? And then you have to have more variety, in the line. Like, for example, and I know that this was probably not like a real long drawing, but you got to kind of think about where the light is coming from, and then what it's going to do to, say, the edge of her torso there. And then what are you really trying to say with that? Are you trying to say that it is, in fact, the same, in the same light and everything as the other side here? And the fact is, it can't be, because she's not a flat shape, she's rounded. So one of these has to be more dominant, right? One has to be darker and stronger, the other's got to be lighter. Okay. Also think about, what you're actually trying to describe, which is this dress, this outfit that she's wearing. Okay. And is that fabric, is it very soft, or is it kind of hard or crisp, right? And how would you describe that, with a line? Same thing with the wings and, everything else in there. So again, you got to really kind of think about, not where just the edge is, but what kind of line do you need to really describe what's going on there? Okay. Now you did another drawing, and this one you added in, or maybe you just added in color pencil over the actual, the same drawing. So this is a little, so this is a little bit later, same drawing. And so with the color pencil, you went back and you softened some of this, or did you? Well, maybe you erased your wings and kind of reshaped them, things like that. But yeah, so you softened some things up, with the color pencil, which was good. And it helped a little bit. It also helps to have kind of blocks of color in here. So you separate the skin from the dress and things like that. And so that helped. Now, one thing I did want to point out to you, when you drew her, she kind of looks like she's getting ready to fall backwards. You notice that? Here, let's zoom out a little bit. And the reason, wrong way. Yeah, see, is it, she's kind of leaning backward a little bit. And that's kind of where the gesture, getting the gesture in is kind of important, to get her kind of feeling like she's standing vertical. So it's like the back of this foot right here probably could have been about like right here, and she probably would have felt a little more balanced. Okay. But, you kind of made her straight up and down, and then you kind of missed, that gestural movement in there to her figure. Okay. So just be aware of that. And, anytime that you start a drawing, whether it's going to be a long drawing or a short drawing, just getting in, and I'm not saying you don't have to really like hammer it in there, just very lightly, kind of sketch in a gesture, for her. And then, once the gesture begins to feel right, then you begin to develop the drawing, around that. Okay. Let's look at the girls. Okay. So we got the two lovely girls there, and you've named them Snow White and Rose Red. Ireland will be happy to know that you named her Rose Red. Anyway, but okay, you've got kind of the feel of what was going on there. Again, it's how you use that line, and you can, you need to kind of really look and think about how hard or how soft that line has to be. to describe, what you're drawing, whether it's the shoulder or the edge of the nose or, the outline of the eye. And again, you came back in and you added color. Now this looks maybe like you did a whole totally different drawing. Did you? No? You're muted. Rebecca, you're muted. You need to unmute you. Can I unmute you? No, I can ask you. Hang on one.
She just muted herself again.
Hang on. Let's see, where is she? No, see, I still can't unmute you. Okay, now you seem, well, stop that. All right, Rebecca, talk to me. No, huh? Yeah, for some reason, it's not letting me unmute you. It's, okay, now you're unmuted. Talk to me, Rebecca. It says you're unmuted, but we don't hear you. Are you unplugged? Is your sound? Huh. Okay.
Does she have headphones thing or something?
I don't know. Yeah, are headphones plugged in or something like that? Yes. Communication challenges. All right. Anyway, well, we'll let her figure that out. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you can't talk to me. You can always type, right? You can always send me a message. Okay. Can you hear me? Rebecca? Okay, you can hear me. Okay, well, it's working one way. All right, so let's go back. Let's see. Request that live transcription be enabled for the meeting. Okay, yeah, let's enable that. Okay. All right, live transcription closed caption has been enabled. Who can see this transcript? Oh, the account owner, everyone. Okay, yeah. Is it giving me an option? No. Okay, well, hopefully. All right. All right. So Rebecca, talk to me.
It's not her Zoom, it's her computer or something.
Yeah, it's something because it's not, yeah, your microphone isn't picking you up.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
There you
There
are.
you go. You're back.
Get it?
Yay. Okay.
I don't know what happened. I just kept fiddling with it. Thank you. What did you ask me?
Oh, well, the main thing was getting you talking
Can't
again so we
remember.
can hear you. All right, so let's go back and look at your
Use sign
drawing.
language.
Pardon?
I was going to use sign language.
Well, yeah, we would have to be
No.
able, we would actually have to be able to read that though, and that's not my forte. All right.
No,
So
this
anyway.
is the same picture that all I did was add color to it.
Oh, okay, so you worked back over the black and white drawing, this one right here.
Yes.
Okay, and you just added it. Okay. Well, it certainly softened it up quite a bit, when you added the color pencil over it, which is good because, they needed to be a little bit softer. Because in your drawing, it's like the outline of the eyes and things all were kind of overstated. And then
Right.
in your color pencil, you softened them up quite a bit, which is good. Okay. So that worked out. Now, one thing, and this is kind of the same thing with Armando. And Armando, I want you to look at this. Armando,
Whoa, somebody
I'm
else
back.
is muted.
Stop making a sandwich. He's off doing something. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah,
I
what I
like
wanted
your
to point
pictures,
out
Rebecca.
is,
I like
you
them.
see, as she laid in the color pencil, she went over it a couple times and built it up. So it looks a little smoother and the color is a little kind of richer and brighter than Armando had with his orchid that we talked about earlier. Okay. So, and that's kind of the way you have to work with color pencil. You can't just go over it once. You got to kind of keep working at it, keep building it up. So
She did a good job with those lightness in those faces too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Mhm.
yeah, you definitely, see if I can talk. You can definitely recognize, who they are.
Exactly. Mhm.
So yeah, she got the feel of the two of them, which is good. It's a nice drawing, very nice drawing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then Rebecca wins the squirrel drawing contest for the day. Okay. One, she got the proportion and kind of the movement of the squirrel. Again, the only thing kind of working against you, Rebecca, is again this how you use the outline.
Right.
And again, a little more variety, a little bit softer to the edge would have probably been, about the only way that you're gonna improve what you've got there. And so, what kind of pencils are you drawing with?
I think that this is a combination of just regular drawing pencil and maybe some charcoal pencils.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found a new gadget that's been wonderful. It's the electric eraser.
Yeah, those are very nice. I highly advocate electric erasers. I love them. Okay, so the thing is like with most of this, it looks like it was laid down, with you holding it like you were kind of writing with it.
Right.
Because it's a very kind of precise line. Rather than holding it like a brush and then being able to use the side of the pencil.
Right.
Yeah. And
Holding
see,
it like this way I'm using the pen right here.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now, usually I'll hold it further back. I don't hold it right at the tip. Yeah. See,
Right.
that way you can see the kind of line you're making.
Right.
And also you can use the tip, like the point of it, but then if you just angle your hand slightly differently, then you're using the whole side of the lead of the pencil. And again, you can vary that line. See, so you can get thicker, more or thinner, more sharp and precise lines, or you can get softer, kind of broader, fuzzier lines, right? And pretty much so anything in between. So keep, practice with that, try to use that pencil, in a variety of ways. See?
Okay.
Yeah, now
Thank you.
here's your colored version of the squirrel, right? Now, let me just for a second, and this is kind of what we were talking about. See how the outline here and the outline here are kind of the same?
Right.
Okay, so here's, just as an experiment, here's what I want you to do. I want you to leave this alone, and then I want you to take your electric eraser, and I don't want you to get rid of this line, but I just want you to go along the edge of that line and lighten it so it's not quite so bold and so dark. Okay?
Well, it's real funny when we went from the one before to this one, it just seemed less soft. The fur got less soft.
Right. Yeah, because you went back in and you kind of reinforced the outline along this back edge here. See how soft this is? And see, that's why it worked, because this side is much different than over here. In your final drawing, you went back and you kind of reinforced that line back there. And so,
I will definitely soften him up.
Yeah, so if you just kind of soften that edge right there.
Right.
Yeah, then he won't feel flat. Okay. Makes sense?
I do not like squirrels. Yes, I do not like squirrels. I consider them long-tailed tree rats because they've done so much damage to our yard.
But
I'm not sympathetic.
your picture looks like you love it because it's so beautiful.
Mhm.
So well done.
Well-
I thought you loved it.
Well,
Well-
all I can say to you about that, Rebecca, is that his ancestors were here a lot longer before yours ever were. So you basically invaded his neighborhood. Okay, so just keep that in mind.
Absolutely true.
Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, you know,
Thank you.
you know, yeah, yeah. I don't want to get into the politics of that because that's like it gets off into a huge
I love it. So
conversation.
cute.
So, anyway, Veronica, where is she? Veronica,
She works here.
yeah, she was.
She
Where'd
must
she
have
go?
left because she works here.
Veronica,
Where's
where are you?
everybody go?
Did she leave us?
I think she did because she was right there just
Yeah.
a few seconds ago. Saying,
Here, hang on one second. She was around. She did. She's not here anymore.
"Hmm,
Well, maybe she had
to
somewhere
do
she had to
something. She
go.
might be back.
Huh?
Yeah. She
Okay.
might have had to do something.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Yeah, so she snuck out of here. All right. So we will talk about Veronica's drawings at a later date, like maybe on Thursday. Okay. When she is here. Okay. So guess who that leaves us with?
Oh my gosh.
Wanda.
That
Miss
painting
Wanda.
not finished.
Huh?
I sent that to you. You gave me some advice on that painting. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. You skipped it. Okay.
Okay. So have you done any more work on it?
A little bit. A little bit.
A little bit. So it's,
I've got two figures on it. At the
you mean in the
top.
foreground?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that was kind of your question was, you know,
Yeah, it was. Mhm.
how do you kind of handle the foreground? Now, I think it was Jackie Lattimore, did this very same painting from this artist right here. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And this
Okay.
is Ellis Wilson, is that his name? I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you've put in some of the figures in the foreground here.
Mhm.
Okay, which two did you put in?
I put in the pastor, and then I put in the little girl that's right next to him, little boy, whatever,
The pastor?
I'm sort of like separating them out so I can fill in.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I got him in.
So is this guy right here, is this the pastor?
Yes.
Because he's got a
I
white
think so. Look
collar.
like he's got a white collar. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you got him and this little girl? Or this little
Yes.
girl?
No, the first one that you picked on.
Back
The
here.
one yeah, right here. yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, which is fine. I mean, you can really start anywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing is if you've got him too far back, you're going to end up making all these people a lot fatter. And all of these people back here are a lot skinnier. So,
Okay.
yeah, as you try to squeeze them on. But guess what? Here's the good news.
Okay.
You don't have to do your painting exactly the way he did. Right? So you could eliminate a person or two, you could add people in. You could even change the character of the people, in the foreground. Maybe this lady isn't wearing a white dress, maybe she's wearing a pink dress, maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be anything, anything you want to do.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Right? Well, and that's, that's kind of the key is, I mean, it's, sometimes when you see things, and I don't encourage people to copy other people's paintings, right? But let's say that you want to do it and it's for your own particular use, you want it in your house or something like that. And that's fine. But at some point, try to do something different than what he did, try to make it your own,
Okay.
right? Add some of you into it. And when you sign it, usually when you sign it on the back, you would say, Wanda Lee after, see, that's an important word, after Ellis Wilson and whatever the name of this painting is, right? So that, in the future, when people looked at it, they would go, oh, okay, so, my grandmother Wanda painted this, okay, but this was, the original idea came from another artist, and this was the painting that she was referring to, see?
Okay, all right, I remember
Yeah.
that. Okay.
And so, technically, that's the correct way of doing that, okay?
Okay.
But then again, see, so you're giving credit to the source, but that doesn't mean that you have to follow the source precisely. You can take it and, again, modify it, make it your own. See, because the main thing is you got the concept, you got the idea of his painting and what he was trying to say, but then you made it more personal. See, so.
Okay.
So there's my 2 cents about
Alright.
that. All right,
May
so
I ask you-
pardon?
May I ask you one version again?
Wanda, what?
Oh,
this-
my version? Okay, mine's not finished though.
No,
I know,
no.
I was,
She wants to see the one I did. She wants to see the one I did.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that one's up here. See, this is where Wanda is.
oh,
right
okay, I see it, okay.
now. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, and she said she's put in a few figures down here, but yeah. But this is an earlier version of that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So since we're here, all right, we'll go to the next one. Okay. Which is this one, the lady reading a book, right? And that, it's a lovely drawing, really is. Now, is this like charcoal?
Yeah, this is charcoal.
Okay, and then you've added what, like colored pencil to it for the plants and things over here?
For the plant, yeah, I wanted that to be in color. while
Right.
The rest of it was,
Yeah, and that's fine. You can combine tonal drawings with, colored spots of color and stuff like that. That's fine. That works perfectly well. But the media here is colored pencil and this is charcoal, right?
right.
Okay, all right. So one thing I want you to notice, okay, the charcoal, you've got a lot of contrast in, right? So you've got, these very strong, dark areas, right? In your charcoal. And then you've got some midtones and you've got some lights, right? When it comes to your plants and your vase and stuff over here, or the basket that it's sitting in, again, it's kind of flat. It's kind of flat and very graphic, right?
Oh, okay.
Now,
Yeah.
and that's fine. I mean, it can be that way, right? It could be. But if you wanted to, say, make some more variety in this and really push the color, see,
Yeah.
again, just like I was talking to Armando or I was talking to Rebecca, you can go back in and you can build up more color in here.
More color.
And maybe, think about how this would change if this were actually a real round basket. Where would you have the light coming from and which side would be lit and which side would fall into shadow? See?
Yeah.
And that will make it feel more round and dimensional
Mhm.
if you want to do that. Okay, and I'm not saying you have to, okay? Because overall the feeling of the drawing is kind of graphic, so and that's fine. Okay. So just something to think about. All right. Now I want to go down to these are
Wait a
the,
minute, wait. Okay, what's on the bottom left?
you mean the
bottom
couch?
left.
Yeah, is that the arm or something right there?
Well, that's kind of the couch that she's sitting on right here. Are you
Yeah,
talking
she's
about
sitting
Yeah,
this,
right there. Mhm.
the gray area?
Where are you pointing?
The kind of mid-tone gray? I don't know. It could be a
Mhm.
blanket, could be anything.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Wanda,
this is
what
part
did
of
you
the
think this
material.
was
This is
when you
part of the
drew it?
material. That gray part there underneath the pillows is just part of the couch.
Oh,
And
okay.
then the other part is the front of the couch and it goes down. It's just different colors.
Right, yeah, this is like the front face of it, and then this
Yeah,
is like a piece
yeah.
of fabric on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Now, one thing you might do, Wanda, to kind of enhance that idea is not up here on the top, but the edge that's closest to us on the bottom edge here,
Mhm.
you might just put a line along there, you know, kind of a darker line to say,
Mhm.
okay, there's a hard edge, and that's where it stops.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Because again, you know, the edge here, the edge here are pretty similar, right? And the value doesn't change a lot. So it looks a little bit flat. If you put that dark edge in there, it will pull this edge forward and let this one
Okay.
sink back.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Mhm.
Think about, you know, what you're trying to say, how you're trying to describe the space. Okay. Now, when we get to your trees, okay, got some lovely fall trees there. Okay, evidently you've got some evergreens because they're still green, right? And then you've got some maples or, you know, some other kind of like hickories or something like that, you know, with this orange color. And so, you know, when I'm looking at this, you know, you've got a nice kind of layered look to it. You know, you definitely have a foreground, and then in here you've kind of got a middle ground, and then from there it kind of, you could have a background, but you see this value right here, it sort of stops at this tree, which is a little bit awkward. Okay, and see, I would have brought that value across to the other side.
Across. Okay.
Yeah, rather than anytime that you stop a color or value at an edge like that, you know,
Mhm.
I mean, it kind of makes you question as to why does it end right
I
there,
see.
you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's just a different value. Okay,
Yep, it is. It is.
yeah, and this looks like a horizon line, right? And so why does the horizon line not keep going, right?
No, what it is that the trees are very tall. So when I
Mhm.
took the picture, I'm like looking up at the trees. So that's all sky.
Okay,
It's all
Yeah.
sky. So
so this is a cloud and then this is sky down below it?
no, the sky was all blue. But when you got on the left side of the right side of the picture, I should have sent the picture in too. The sky was bluer. Then when you got to the left, it lightened up. So I said, okay, how am I going to do this? And
Okay.
yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna send a picture and you see it. Well, there's more trees on the pictures than what I have.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was all sky. The trees are so doggone tall.
Okay, well, all I would say is the value, like between these two trees right here in this area where the cursor is. See, I would take
Yeah.
that and I'd bring it over in here and here.
No, okay.
See, and kind of,
Yeah.
you know, now it can change shapes. You know, if this is a cloud,
Mhm.
right, it can follow the shape of the cloud or whatever. It doesn't have to be you made it kind of this hard kind of horizontal line,
Yeah.
right? And so you could either come back over here and do the same thing, or you could bring that color over and then break up that shape so it's not this flat.
Straight like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it looks like it could read as a horizon line. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Either a
Yes.
horizon line or the bottom edge of a cloud, because clouds do that.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes
Yeah.
they're flat on the bottom and then they're all puffy on top. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I
I
would
was
look
trying
at
to
that.
catch the beautiful, the leaves were so beautiful. I said, oh, I want to paint this. I have to send the picture, and the leaves are beautiful, orange and reds and very pretty.
Yep. Yeah. And kind of the same thing here. You see how the leaves kind of come up to this tree trunk and they stop.
Mhm.
Here, they kind of move in front of it a little bit. See?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would kind of, again, you know, break that up a little bit
Mhm.
so that,
Mhm.
you know, it's kind of a little more irregular shape, and then it will feel more like
Oh, yeah.
either the leaves are in front of it or the tree trunk's in front of the leaves, whatever you were seeing there. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
Now let's talk about this lovely lady. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Now this
Okay.
is watercolor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what you said. And then it's watercolor and like colored pencil?
No, it's all watercolors.
It's all
It's
watercolor.
watercolor brushes.
Okay.
You know, the watercolor, they already have the brush, it's that.
Mm.
And I put a little bit of gold on her earrings and necklace and put some silver on some of the fabric design there.
Like up in here where it's kind of looking like it's white.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, because silver and any kind of metallic is, when you photograph it, it's very reflective. So
Yeah.
oftentimes it doesn't come out looking like the color you're actually seeing, you know, on the piece
Yeah.
because of the reflection of the light on it.
I took it
Okay.
outside, but I was on the sun porch and you were screened in, so I got as much brightness as I could
Mhm.
when I took the picture.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the color of the photo and thing is fine. Yeah. Yeah, it's just that anytime that you're dealing with trying to photograph an actual metallic paint, it can be difficult because how the light hits it, you know. I mean, you know, when I used like the metallic gold in some of the paintings that I did, you know, that was kind of the challenge, getting a photograph of it and getting it to look like you could actually see that that was metallic gold, because it was reflecting the light. It almost went white in some places, you know, even though it
Okay.
was actually gold. Okay. But because it reflects light so much, it, you know, the way the camera sees it is very different sometimes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you've got a nice silhouetted shape there. You know, you've got nice color, contrast, really interesting pattern, you know, to everything here. You know, it really is very, very nice piece. You know, all you have to do is finish it, you know, fill in the rest of it, I guess. Right? Are you going to fill in the rest of this yellow?
Oh, I don't know, because I was trying to do that blending like I did on one of the pictures. You told me to blend the colors in a little more, take them across. I was wondering when I had all the women in there. And I
Okay,
was
so
trying to do
you're,
that
all right,
again,
so
but
you're gonna
it
try to
wasn't coming out right.
soften, you kind of make a transition or
Yes.
gradation here? Okay,
Yeah.
all right, yeah.
So should I come from the end of with the scarf in the front, where it's at, should I bring it all the way over to the scarf itself? The pinkish looking part?
You could, yeah. You know, or we'll just
Bring
soften
it all
this
the way
edge.
over? Okay.
Yeah, so that it, see how it makes a shape? If you break that up so it doesn't make as clear a shape, then you won't really focus there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, same thing along here around the edge here.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's either bringing some of the yellow over or bringing some of the pink across, you know, but whatever you do, it's, yeah, just soften up this edge in here. So it doesn't come to kind of like an abrupt stop.
Right.
Yeah.
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 More like a shadow instead of. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it could be darker, it could be lighter, it could be whatever you want to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, you know, it's how you kind of transition it. The softer you keep it, the more it will stay in the background. You know, the more contrast there is, the more it's going to want to come forward. Okay. So just keep that in mind. We have this lovely lady. Okay. And you titled her Hope. What is she hoping for?
Well, last year, year before last, you had us do some drawings on showing emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I did this in the beginning in just pencil.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going through my stuff. I said, oh my God, I never finished the picture. So let me try and finish this drawing.
Okay.
And so I did the rest. I did it all in charcoal on top of graphite, which was difficult because it just slides over the graphite.
Right. Yeah.
But other than that, I just tried to give it a little more life than what it had.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
shadowed the back, did her face and stuff. So
okay. Well, you definitely have kind of a nice separation of values. You know, you got you know, the skin tone itself is the lightest area. Well, actually, the inside the eye is the lightest, and then you got a little bit of tone on the skin, but it still falls into the light, you know, which is darker than the background. which kind of falls into a middle value. And then you got kind of a middle to middle dark for the hair. And then you've got a much darker value for, you know, the dress or, you know, the clothing that she's wearing. And so again, you know, just separating those out, you know, you've divided up the area. It reads real well. You know, we've kind of talked about line work all day long, but the same thing kind of applies, right? Now here you got a little bit bolder line, and see, luckily this is not the same. See, it's a little bit softer, a little bit lighter. So that kind of gives you the idea that it's not a flat shape. Same thing with the outline of the jaw. So you've got a very kind of thin, you know, but fairly precise line there. But again, it doesn't compete, you know, with these. So it just holds a shape there, but it doesn't, you know, flatten everything out. So that's good. You know, everything works pretty nicely in this drawing.
Charles, how do you like the hair on that one?
Well, again, you know, she's drawing the texture of the hair rather than, you know, the value and the forms. And so again, you know, it looks more, it kind of gives it more of a graphic look. You know, it doesn't feel three-dimensional and round. You know, because all of the line work and everything, the texture is pretty much so consistent all the way through. Okay. And it's, you know, it's just it's a style of drawing. But, you know, the whole drawing has kind of that, you know, graphic sort of feel to it rather than, now she's got a drawing and we'll go to it next. And, you know, these are very different drawings because where this looks very graphic, see, this begins to take on more form, right? Because she's got kind of these nice transitions, you know, from light into mid-tone into some darker values. So this face feels more dimensional, feels rounder, feels more like it's got weight and takes up space, right? Where this face, not so much, you know. See, you know, this is kind of almost like this looks almost more like a fashion drawing, where this looks like a drawing of a person. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the hair on that one.
Yeah. Now, again, you know, she's treated it, you know, as a texture, right? But the thing is, you know, there are some darker and lighter areas in it. So it has a little more variety than, say, the hair here, see, which is very kind of just lineal. And you see the outline here and the outline here and the outline over here. They're all the same. Okay. And anytime that you make a color or a value or an edge or a line the same as, you know, in another part of the drawing or the painting, then what you're saying is that they're all equally close to you. So one is not further away than the other, right? They're at the same, on the same level. Okay. Now, if let's say that you know, the outlines up here were a little bit, say, darker and harder than the ones here at the edge, then that edge would move back and this would look more round. But because the outline here, the outline here, the outline here is all the same, it says that I'm flat. Okay. So just keep that in mind. And in fact, we're going to talk about that in your next drawing, but I want to, since we're looking at this guy, I want to talk about him some more. So everything going on in here is, you've handled everything really nicely. You know, even the way you've laid down the value and the tone in the clothing itself, it's got a direction, right? It's not all moving the same direction. You know, it kind of describes the shape of that collar, right? Or the shape of the shoulder or the front of the jacket, right? Because they're moving in different directions from each other. And it makes it feel, again, like it's got weight, you know, like you actually got some form in there and you're not, you know, you're not just trying to fill in a flat area, you know, you're actually giving it some shape. And so really, I mean, that's a, you know, beautifully done drawing. It's really nice, you know.
Put the background in, you told me to put, color the background because there was no color.
Right.
And so I put that on there.
Yeah. And in this case, you know, you put in a value, and that's fine. Now, again, you know, just like, you know, we looked at the orchids, you know, that May did, and you had asked about the background. So
Yeah.
here's a case where you've got some texture, right, in the background itself, but it still works. It's perfectly fine having that texture in there because it contrasts the smoothness of the skin. See, this area and this area are not the same, right? So you see, this holds together as the background. This holds together as the flesh area, you know, the surface of the skin, because they're treated differently, right? And they have a different value range. Okay.
Now, you know what I like about this picture is if she had let the background go all the way to him, it wouldn't have had the same effect. But she left a little area right around, as close to him. It's very, very light.
Yeah,
So
he's
that,
got an aura.
that to me, that really separates him, you know, directly from the background. He doesn't fit into the background at all because that little aura.
Well, and you know, even if she did, even if she would have brought that gray all the way up to the edge, you know, maybe the coat would have you would have lost the coat into the background, but his head would still stand forward of that. Okay. You know, even if she had brought.
But would it have the same contrast, like on the hair part?
Well,
you can't see it on this picture, but that going around there, that is gray. I did do a gray charcoal on there, but I smoothed it.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of soft, but it gives the effect of kind of like an aura, which again kind of tells a different story, you know, about the drawing, about who he is, and you know, I mean, there's something sort of. It's almost like, you know, some of the religious paintings out of the Renaissance, you know.
Yeah.
But it is John Lewis, so.
Yeah, it is John Lewis. He's gone.
So I can see why you make.
Well, if that's John Lewis, that's a very young John Lewis.
It is.
Yeah, it's one of his young
He was
pictures.
young once.
One of his young pictures, yeah.
Well,
May I ask a
Armando,
question?
I don't know that. I mean, you know, I met John Lewis, you know, talked to him several times, you know, when he was alive, and you know, but he was much older, you know.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I saw the picture when he used to hang with Martin Luther King. He was very young in that time.
Yeah, he would have been. that was a while back. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it's a nice drawing. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't really recognize that as John Lewis, but okay. That makes some sense now. Okay, but it's a really beautiful drawing. You did a really nice job. We have somebody who has a chat.
Rebecca.
How much time did you spend on this portrait? Okay, and that's from Rebecca.
Oh, about 3 days.
Oh, 3 days?
Wow.
Okay.
And I love the pen too, the little gold pen.
Mhm.
Yes.
It actually looked more gold than your gold paint, you know.
I put that color on there because I like to put just a dab of color in my charcoal pictures. Just
Yes.
something in color.
Yeah,
So I did
the
on
lips.
the tie.
Well,
The
it
lips on
stands
the-
out.
Yeah. That's cool.
Okay. All right.
Enjoy doing it.
And so now, last but not least, okay, I want to talk about this drawing. Okay. Now, when I look at your other two drawings of heads and portraits, okay, you went a lot further and you were a lot more successful on those other two drawings than you were this one. And okay, and let me just point a few things out to you. Okay. So you got the hair feeling very soft, and that's good. And remember, Bernice, you know, you were asking about hair, right? So this feels kind of like hair that has a texture to it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now the thing is, what she could have done, and she kind of started doing it, okay, You see how you have this area just a little bit darker over here than you do here in the center? Okay.
Mhm.
So you see, you get a little bit of form in there, right? But then it stays pretty much so the same all the way across till you get to this back edge back here, and then it gets a little bit darker again. And so I would kind of encourage you to push the value here and here, and don't just, not just the edge, just let it gradate. See? So it goes from this dark to whatever this value is, but you find some steps in between there, and that'll help make that hair feel more round. Okay.
All right, as I mentioned before, when I first did these pictures, I did them in pencil.
Mhm.
So trying to get the charcoal on top of that
Yeah, to
lead or
stick to it.
graphite so that it wouldn't stick, and it would, it was just didn't come out the way I really wanted it to come out.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, you could always redraw it
Yeah.
in just charcoal. Okay. No, you could.
Yeah.
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 No, I've done that many, many times where I've done a drawing.
Okay.
And in fact, I would always kind of encourage you, rather than go back and work, and particularly if you're going to change media, don't work on an old drawing. Set that old drawing up and redraw it, but redraw it in charcoal. See, that way you can take advantage of the media that you're actually using, because you can get more variation in the charcoal than you can with possibly the graphite, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, continuing on, okay, because I've got a lot of little things I want to pick on about this particular drawing, okay, and just make you aware of. So, so one is the hair. You could make it feel like it's got more volume and rounder, okay. The other thing is the skin tone overall. You see, it's kind of flat. It's all kind of the same all the way across. And, what you've indicated is that you got a little shadow like under the neck here, right? Which kind of pushes that neck back up under her jawline, right? But if that's going to be true, then more than likely, okay, and again, I wasn't there, so more than likely the value on one of these sides of her face are going to be darker or lighter, okay? And my guess is, because you've got the shadow underneath the neck like this, is that this whole side of her face is going to be a little bit darker than this side.
Okay.
Just like you did with the hair here, where this is just slightly darker than that, you could do the same thing with the skin tone here. And here at the edge of the nose, you're not going to have this hard, dark edge, as an outline. Again, this might generally be darker than, say, the cheek, but then you might have just a little bit of light on part of it, right? But because you've put an outline along it, you've flattened it all out, see? Because this is kind of equal to this, which is kind of equal to this. And again, all three of those have to be different from each other. Otherwise, it's going to look flat, okay?
Yeah.
And then the last, well, maybe it's not the last thing. Okay, like the same thing with the eye. See, like if the eyelashes are going to be dark and this is closer to us, but this eye is further away, we've got to find a way of making these a little softer over here. See, so that they sit back away from us. Again, because they're the same, it flattens it out. Okay. And then last but not least, okay, I don't know whether that's, it looks like she's wearing something with stripes, right?
Yeah.
But if she has stripes on her clothing, this shoulder right here is closer to me than this one, right?
Okay.
And so that means that the line, or this area, is going to look thicker because it's close, or larger because it's closer to me. The one that's further away is going to look smaller, and you've got them just the opposite.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. She's twisted. Okay.
Yeah, it's like this wants to go back and this wants to come forward, and it's because of the size relationships. You see, all of these are thicker over here. These are all thinner over here.
Okay.
So, little things like that, you want to look at real carefully and kind of think about, before you put them down.
Okay.
You know, because again, this is kind of fighting you, wanting to pull that shoulder forward, where this one's wanting to move backward because, you know, just the size relationship. Okay. Like this one is almost the same size here as it is here. This one's still a little bit bigger, right? This one, this is bigger than that, right? So I think you get the point, right?
Yeah, okay, I
When
see.
in fact, all of these should be much bigger, right? And, you know, if you have to come and go off the edge of the page, okay, then let them go off the edge of the page. You know? Don't worry about trying to squeeze them in there. Okay, just let them, you know, go off.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
All right.
yeah. That's what I was doing. I was squeezing them in. Okay.
Pardon?
I said, that's what I was doing. I was squeezing them in.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to, yeah, it's kind of like trying to get the feet on a drawing, you know, when you haven't made it long enough and you've run out of paper. So you make the legs shorter.
Mhm. And I think I'll try and draw this again and do it in charcoal instead of trying to do on top of that graphite, because it was difficult. It didn't come out the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
But I will
Yeah.
do it
A,
and
you'll
try and
find
do
it a lot easier to do, and B,
Yeah.
you'll be a lot happier with the overall end product. Okay. Because it will kind
Absolutely.
of hold together cohesively, and you'll be able to use the charcoal itself, you know, to its best advantage. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it likes to play together nicely, you know. Graphite and charcoal don't play together very nicely. You know,
No,
they
they
just don't.
don't.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So that's everything that I've got. Except I wanted to share with you what I've been doing. Okay. And how am I going to start this? Okay, so I'm going to start it with this. So this is the view out my back porch. Okay. Now this is a what they call a panoramic shot on an iPhone. So you've got like this setting on there for panoramic. You can start in one place and kind of scan across, and it gets you like a 180 degree or 360 degree shot. This is only about, you know, probably 160 degree. But as you notice, what's out behind my house?
Trees.
Lots of trees, lots and lots of trees. Okay. And which is probably why I do so many tree paintings. Anyway, this is just a straight flat shot right off the straight, you know, right out the back porch. Okay. And so, you know, I've got this ridge back here, you know, and then way down in here is where the creek is. And you can't see the edge of it, but literally if you walk out 30 feet, it's not quite straight down, but it's pretty close to straight down, about 100 feet, you know, down to the bottom of all of this. So these are pretty big trees, you know, and so where the house is, it's kind of looking at kind of the midpoint or slightly higher of most of those trees, because they're down in that little, you know, valley, you know, where the creek is. So what was it, maybe a week and a half ago, you know, the color was finally beginning to change out there. And that's kind of when I shot this. And so I set up an easel out there and I started painting. And now this is a 20 by 60 inch canvas. And so that was the first day, you know, and that's probably about 3 hours, you know. I'm just kind of sitting out there trying to figure out where things are, you know, and putting in like the main tree trunks and stuff, just kind of getting a feel for where things are. So I came back the next day, which I think was a Saturday or whatever. And, you know, I started building up more paint on it. Okay. And so, you know, I got a little more paint on there and began to get sort of some of the values adjusted and things. And it began to kind of take on a little bit of shape. It's still kind of flat, right? But you can kind of begin to see that there are trees and things kind of emerging out of it. And then this is where I am today, okay, because I've been working on it little by little. And See, it's beginning to look, more and more like actual trees.
Yeah.
Who could have guessed, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
And it still has a ways
I
to
like
go.
those. Yeah.
Okay. Because I haven't finished these trees over here, nor have I, pretty much so I've just done that center section. And then from like here over to the other edge of the canvas, see, is all still pretty preliminary. But little at a time, kind of, adding layers of color and kind of picking at it and, just building it up little by little. And the challenge, and,
I like the
this is
colors.
basically being painted, plein air. I'm not painting it from the photograph. I'm actually going out to
I can see it now that on the left side, you've done a lot more. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I can see
Yeah,
it
I've got a
now.
lot of work to do on the right so far.
Right.
Yeah.
Because initially I thought, boy, that's beautiful. That's finished, but I see what you're talking about now about the tree that's on the slightly to the right.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, all of these are just, kind of roughed in right now. And not all of these are even finished, but they're getting there. They're getting close.
Right.
The only thing that's really close to done is really kind of in this area right in here.
Okay.
Right in this middle section.
Okay.
Now here it is, sitting on the back porch on the easel. And you can kind of see, what I'm painting behind it. And all the different, colors and stuff back there. It's beautiful back there now. So,
I bet it is. Mhm.
but that's kind of what I've been up
Can't
to
wait
for
to see the
the,
finished product.
pardon?
Look forward to seeing the finished product. I said, looking forward to seeing the finished product.
Yeah, it's probably going to take me about another 2 weeks to finish this.
Mhm.
Because like I said, it's like once I get all of this kind of to this level, then I got to start kind of pushing and pulling stuff, softening things, maybe simplifying some shapes, trying to pump up more intensity and color in certain areas and letting other areas kind of go softer and grayer. So, there's a fair amount of work to still yet do on this. But I'm having fun,
Yeah. That's
You know,
what's gotta
I'm-
have fun.
And the thing is, I'm kind of going at this and I'm not holding back on the paint, I'm definitely laying some paint one layer over the other. You can kind of begin to see how the paint's building up on it.
You can.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Speaking of not holding back on the paint, I did some of those pour drawings, pour
mhm,
painting.
yeah,
I hate it.
you hate
Because
it.
when I pour it,
Mhm.
it looks nice for maybe about an hour. Then they
Uh-huh.
start blending together and look like a bunch of. It looks like just a soup almost. I'm like, what
Ah.
happened?
So it's not drying where it's staying separated?
No, as
Okay.
it dries, it kind of melds more together. It
Right,
looks okay. Maybe the first hour, maybe even the first 2 hours, but
okay.
even overnight, it kind of even though it's acrylic,
Mhm.
it keeps moving.
Right.
You know.
Well, that's okay. So I have something to tell you about that with those pour paintings.
Mhm.
You're probably adding too much media into the paint, so it's too
Okay.
liquid and it's too wet when you pour it. So, so you may not want to thin it.
When I tried less, it didn't hardly move at all. I tried, like
Yeah.
1/4, 1/2, and so on. But when I put I say like 1/4, it hardly moves at all. It just kind of sits there in the center of the painting. I guess
Mhm.
I got to find that happy medium.
Yeah, you've got to get it to the right viscosity so that you can get it to flow, but that it's not so wet that it's going to just kind of diffuse one into another.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing about poured paintings like that is you pour colors next to each other, and then you let them kind of flow, and they'll kind of flow around each other so that you get some very distinct separations in the color. So my guess is that, like I said, I think you've probably got you're adding too much medium to the color,
Okay.
you know. So it's got to be just a little bit thicker so it will stay separated.
The thing that I have is that's not it, but it's something that I ordered from Amazon. But when they talk about these poor paintings, they talk about something called flow chart. Is that the same as the acrylic medium? That's the same thing?
Yeah. When
Okay.
that's what we're talking about. So yeah, you probably got a little too much flow in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try a very small pen and kind of put it back a little bit.
Yeah.
And just see what
Well,
happens.
just try to do, less of the medium, like on a smaller canvas and stuff, and experiment with it until you kind of feel like you've got the right mixture between the pigment and the flow medium, right? And when you start getting the effect you want, then go to like a bigger canvas,
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So anybody got anything else?
No.
Anybody want to, nothing to share? Okay.
I'm putting more colors on my orchid,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna send you a picture of it so you tell me how
Okay.
it looked.
Yeah. Well, you went away. We were looking for you because I wanted to show you an example of.
Well, I was in the celebration.
You were in the celebration? Okay. All right.
Yeah, I reached the top of your the age 75 this past Sunday. So
Well,
Happy
congratulations.
belated birthday.
Yay.
75.
Yes.
now I don't have no more birthday. That's the top 75.
I don't blame you, Amanda.
So are you telling me that next year you're going to be 74?
No, it will be. When I hold on a day on 75,
Mhm.
I will be holding.
Wow.
Oh, so
Well,
you're
listen,
you're
believe
just
it or
you're
not,
so you're just going to stay at 75.
Yes.
Okay.
okay.
All right.
Believe it or
Now,
not,
see-
Betty White is going to be 100 years old.
Yeah.
Who?
Betty White. She's going to be
Oh,
100
okay.
years old on her birthday. I think it's in January.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
haven't seen her for a long,
100.
long time.
Well, now my mother, when she turned 29, she started going backward.
When she turned 29, she
Yeah,
started
when
going
she- yeah.
backwards? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, she refused to go over 30, so it's like, yeah,
Okay.
she hit, well, she was turning 30 and she stayed at 29, then she went to 28, 27. Now she looked 67 when she passed away. But yeah,
All right now.
but if anybody asked her,
Mhm. 29, honey, every
Yeah.
day.
29.
You can't ask women's age. That's a no. Mm-mm.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying, there are official situations when they need to know your age, particularly when you're talking to your doctor and things like that. He might want to know how old you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for her, no, she's not giving that up. She's 29. So
I hear her. Go ahead, girl.
anyway.
But Armando, you're very handsome for a 75-year-old.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
would
you.
never think it.
You're very handsome.
There we go. Oh, see,
All right.
you're very handsome. Not that you're healthy. You're very handsome.
Handsome.
But hey,
Handsome and
I
healthy.
think you have to be healthy to be handsome.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you don't have the right vitamins and minerals, your skin does strange things.
Okay.
Definitely. Wow, John's been mighty quiet today. Is he still
John
there?
has been quiet. John has been very quiet. John, are you there?
There's a picture there.
I
Yes.
don't think
yes.
Oh, okay.
there he is. Okay.
Right. Just taking it all in, let the women dominate.
Yeah,
And
well,
June, she hasn't said anything either. She's been quiet.
Yeah, June's been very quiet today too. You know,
Uh-huh.
she has been. Yeah.
Where are you, June?
Hi, I'm here.
There you are.
I'm
Okay.
a listen.
Okay.
Yeah, we are listeners today.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, John, I said that you change your hair. You do
No, I'm in a
something.
different room and the light is different.
Oh, that's what it is?
That's what it is.
You look like you come to
Yeah,
this.
it makes it look puffier, like,
I'm saying, huh?
Yeah.
it makes it
Well,
look
he's
puffier.
he's been silhouetted in
background.
outline, so it's actually kind of making the edge of his hair a little bit harder than it normally is.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
because it's silhouetting, you know, the image around it. You know, it's that zoom thing. So
Nice painting back there, John.
That's what I did last year. That's the one,
yeah, it's been a while.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm working on a couple of things. Hopefully I'll have something to show on Thursday. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'm gonna show my pour that I did because it's terrible. I'm gonna show it anyway.
okay,
It's
good.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
It cracked. I mean, I hate it. I tell you, I'm not gonna do it.
Oh,
I just did it because you say play with paint.
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't like this poor thing at all.
Okay. Well, guess what? You know, you learn as much from your successes as you do from your failures. Okay.
that's true. That's true.
You learn that I
are those
don't
all
like
your
it.
paintings back there? June, are
Yeah,
those all your paintings behind you?
yes.
Did you do all those paintings?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
Yeah, that's all her work.
this
Very
is
nice.
most is the Vincent Center did it. In the Vincent Center, I did it.
Mhm.
Oh, nice. I
Yeah.
like those.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know, when you look at June, this lady sitting here on the bench that was out in the park at Heritage Park, this is a still life that we did here, the flowers in the vase. And then she's got another figure back behind her head here. I can't, well,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, actually, this
Oh,
girl
yeah.
and this girl are the same girl. They're same model. Okay. There's two different
Oh,
places.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
And
I
yeah,
see.
and then that was
Mhm.
Phoenix sitting basically on that same bench in the park. Yeah, so we painted
Okay.
a couple of different models out there at different times.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's when we used to all go out, you know, and hang out outside, you know, and do
Good
plein air
day.
painting together.
mhm.
So maybe we'll get back to that one day.
We missed
I hope
that
so.
time.
I
Mhm.
hope so, 'cause I would
Yeah.
like to come and visit you all and do
Yeah,
some painting with
we'd
you.
love to have you come along.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
You, Bernice, Eloise, all of you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Everybody, yeah. Be nice.
Okay, well, on that happy note,
Oh, yeah.
okay, and we've whittled ourselves, you know, from we had almost 10 people, and now we're back down to 6. So I guess we've been on here long enough. I wanted to say thank you all for coming. Okay,
Oh, thank
Okay.
you for having
and
us. Thank you for all the suggestions and
See you
ideas.
in the morning.
Thank you.
yep,
Or
yes, we will
10
be
a.m. in the morning.
here at 10 a.m. in the morning. Okay, and I've got a couple of surprises
Right.
for you. So all right,
Oh, good.
I think you'll like them.
I might have,
Okay.
I might be leaving mid session though. So
Okay.
Get your surprises in early.
Okay. All right. So
Okay, bye,
we'll see you guys at
everybody.
10 in the
Bye.
morning then. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
All right,
good night.
bye-bye.
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye, John Boy.